You're taking.
All right,
Hi.
everyone. Hello. My name is Diamond Rivera of the Live Discussions with Diamond podcast. And this episode is sponsored by Tu Bachata Radio, where you can listen in high quality live right now. And tonight, people, we have a special episode. We have here all the way from LA, California, the one and only Luis and Jess.
What's up?
Yeah, man. It's been a long time, honestly, and we haven't seen each other in so many months. I think since Dallas Bachata Festival, and I mean,
Dallas 2019.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
literally a full year. So, I
Yeah.
mean, full circle. It's great to see you guys, even though under these circumstances, just being able to see you guys. You look great. I'm loving the Christmas tree in the back right now. I'm loving the
Thank you. You
festiveness.
didn't
Oh,
turn it on.
I didn't turn the lights on.
You
Oh
didn't turn it
man.
on.
Oh man. Let me do that right now.
I know. For the people that are watching, yes. Again, my name is
There we
Simon
go.
Rivera, and we're having a really amazing night tonight. Again, I have Luis and Jess here. Um, I've known these guys maybe close to going on 5 years. And I mean, all of the trips that we've been on have been crazy, fun, entertaining, but most of all, memorable. And tonight, being able to have them on the platform, being able to talk about their journeys, experiences, and more is truly special. And again, thank you guys for coming.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. We're so excited. We've been watching your interviews and you're doing a wonderful job, Diamond.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
thank you for, putting all this together.
Absolutely. I mean, again, I think this is a possibility in a sense to just allow people to understand the artists that many of us love, like yourself, and being able to celebrate that success and being able to learn from everything you guys have been able to do. Just like the ups and downs, the trials and tribulations. I think it's amazing to hear the story from the people themselves. So, I mean, for me, I love to kind of go all the way back, understanding how it all started, where it all began. But before we start, just letting you know throughout the interview, we are going to have real lifetime comments coming in. For example, all the way from DC, Adriana, with the right here with the hearts right now.
Adriana.
Oh man, especially
Oh,
the
so
events that we've
sweet.
all been around. But yeah, I am really interested in understanding Luis and Jess before the dancing. How it really, what was your childhood like, and how dance kind of fell into your lap.
Ladies
Me
first.
first? Okay. It's actually an interesting story. Sorry, I think my eyes are watering. I am not sad though, don't worry, guys. I'm very happy right now. How I started with dance. So I had wanted to do dance my whole life. I grew up with raised by a single mom, so my opportunity to do extracurriculars was really limited to whatever my babysitter at the time was doing. Meaning, like, if my babysitter had her kids in horseback riding, I would go do that. Whatever she did with her kids is what I did. I never really got to choose, but it's a blessing that I did get to do so many things because of my babysitter. So, very grateful for that. But dance was something I always wanted to do, and it just was always in the back of my head until one day I took read a horoscope that said now is the time to do something for yourself that you've always wanted to do for fun. Pretty much like go for it. So I
Hmm.
immediately Googled salsa dancing lessons. Um, at the time, I did not have a car, and I just took public transport in Atlanta, which, if you are from
Hmm.
Atlanta, is horrendous. It is not like New York. It's like
Oh my
you
God.
wait, a bus comes like every hour. Every hour, you have a bus coming sometimes. I mean, it's like really bad. So I think I took like, let's see, two buses, a train, and I would walk to get to the studio, which I know is not a big deal for you. But again, in Atlanta, it's just so different. So it would take me, I'd say, about 2 hours there, and then a little over 2 hours to get back. So about 4 hours to go what would take 15 minutes driving.
Yeah,
So,
it was like 2 miles.
yeah, it was such a disaster. But I
Oh
started
wow.
doing that, and then that's actually where I met Luis.
Hmm.
And then soon after, he started driving me home, guys. So don't worry, I wasn't at the MARTA station late at night for too long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he just swept me right off my feet and drove me home.
Oh man.
Um,
I can't wait
but
to
yeah,
hear about that.
that is my story for dance. I was really inspired by Janet Jackson and Selena. That's why I really wanted to
Hmm.
start. And I used to do a lot of like cumbia in my living room, watching
Really?
Selena, the movie, and then just practicing my cumbia steps. Well, I didn't
I,
even
I've
know what it
seen
was.
I've
I
seen
thought it
those
was
steps.
salsa.
I've seen those cumbia
Yeah,
steps at congresses, so you got some skills there.
it's all in the head when you
Yes,
step back. You just gotta throw.
the washing machine. You do the wash.
Yeah. So that's how I started. What about you, Boo?
For me, well, I was born in Mexico, and so yeah, I'm from a state of Puebla, and cumbia it's a big thing over there. So growing up, anytime there would be parties, I would always be the little kid that would dance. And I have an uncle who has a band, right? And so anytime there was a big party like a wedding, quinceañera, and all that, he would be there playing. And it was like, I mean, at least from what I can remember, it was like a big stage, right? Like a concert.
Oh, don't
Um,
block my light, please.
oh, my bad. It was like a concert, right? So I would always get on stage and then dance
Yeah.
next to my uncle, like like just me dancing. So I've always liked dancing, but I didn't really get into it until after high school, like into the salsa scene. I used
Mm,
to go to Sonideros in Atlanta when I was like, I started going maybe like 14, 15. My
yeah.
cousins started taking me, and I liked it because Sonidero it's like a congress. There are no classes. It's
Cumbia
just
country.
yeah. It's like a congress, like a salsa congress, but for cumbia, and it's just
Mm,
DJs. Usually they don't have live music, and then all you do is just dance. So it will be in this big like warehouses or big like ballrooms, and then people just dance all night, and that's how I started. Like when I was like, ooh, I like this. And then I took my first class in 2013. No, technically, I took one class in 2005, but then that was it. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I didn't go back until 2013.
okay.
That's when I got more into it because I was bored of my moves. I was like, I want to learn new moves. So I started taking classes, and then that's how I started.
Before he started taking classes, he would practice his turn patterns with a broom and a hoodie over the broom.
Yeah, like I would practice with a broom, like I would grab a broom and then just tie a sweater, and then I would like just do it on my own, or I have a cousin who's we're about the same age, so we would practice. He's a guy, so it would be like, okay, let me be the girl, and then now you're the girl, and then we'll practice with each other. But whenever he wasn't around, I would grab my sweater and the broom.
Your first dance partner.
Yeah, I can't hear you. Can you hear?
No.
I can't hear you.
Here, maybe you try taking it.
Uh,
Are you able to hear
can
me
you
now?
say something?
Yeah,
Yes, I
we're
can
good.
hear you now.
All right. I don't.
Yeah.
So the question I was trying to ask is, being from New York, we have our dance events, our salsa socials, bachata socials. But for people outside of Atlanta, what was the scene like from your point of view?
In Atlanta.
Yeah.
Well, when I started, first of all, there was no bachata. Like it was all salsa.
Thank you.
Because this is in 2013, right? So
Mm,
there were no bachata classes. I think that I started with a company called Salsambo with Alfredo Picino. And at that time, he started doing bachata classes, probably like 3 or 4 months into like towards the end of 2013.
yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, like I see like more moves because I would go to nightclubs. It's funny because I would go to nightclubs and originally when bachata started, at least for me, it was just step, 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 tap, step, 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 tap.
Yep.
But then when we started going to clubs, we would see people doing the cross, the cross and then
Yeah.
the tap, right? So then whenever I would go back home, or I was with my cousin, I'd be like, hey, let's do it like the Dominican style, and that's what we would say. We'll be like, let's do Dominican style, and then we would cross our steps, and
And they
that's how
would
we
Yeah.
start.
bounce.
Yeah,
It's
and then
like
we
it's
would
trying to
bounce,
translate
like
between the
there's
two.
actually videos, and they're horrible. Like I might share them one day,
I've
but
never made
they're
them
Mhm.
online,
bad
so
because I used to wear, baggy pants with my
Oh,
Titans jersey and or my North Carolina, hat.
or a
Like,
wait,
hairnet.
yeah,
I
like
really?
actually wore
I
that
went. I
too.
went through that stage. Yeah, yeah.
Wait,
I
wait.
went
So you
through.
used to wear like a hairnet, baggy jeans.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah.
what was the fit for
It
Lewis
was diamond.
back in the
It
days?
was all looks. So I'm
Oh
trying to
yeah,
do
oh
something
yeah. It
really
was
like
all yeah.
hard underneath
I
that
know. It was
exterior.
just trying to look cool,
And you
Man.
did it. It's funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love the honesty. I love the honesty. So, question,
Yeah.
and you're you're beginners, starting to learn more into dancing. Was there a certain point that you remember, like, okay, I'm learning now? I kind of feel like I want to take this serious.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
You can go first
Okay,
on this.
for me, it was when I went to my first Congress. It was the ABF, and this was in 2014. I didn't know what a Congress was, right? I had a
Yeah.
friend who I met in the dance scene, and he asked me he texted me on Saturday morning. He was like, "Hey, are you going to ABF?" And I was like, "What is that?" And he was like, "Oh, it's a Congress." And I was like, "What's a Congress?" And then he was like, he like explained what it was, and I was like, "Oh," I was like, "That's a thing." I was like, I don't know." I was like, "Sure, let's go tonight." So I got a night pass, and I went to
Uh,
see the shows. And when I saw the shows, I was like, "Holy crap!" Like that is so cool. Like I was like, I want to be on that stage one day. And then when I found out that people get paid to get on that stage, I was like, I want to get paid to be on that stage. And
mhm.
for me, the first couple that I saw that I was like wow by them was Uriel Rivera. They're out of Miami, uh, and they were the ones that like when I saw them, I was like, oh my god, they were like the Karen and Ricardo of right now. And they were just like they're really good. They're still really good. But when I saw them, I was like, I want to do that one day. And like I
Yeah.
knew, like again, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I want to do that. Yeah,
Mhm.
and that was me.
Um, I guess he has a definitive moment. I think mine was just, hi, little kitten. We might have a visitor. I think mine was more of like just over time, but over
Mhm.
a short period of time. I think in general, I just if I'm gonna do something, I do it like 100%. There's really just
Yeah.
no in the middle for me with anything. So I just started with Luis, and we started doing like being partners on a team, and we just started practicing a lot, and it just kind of was really an organic
Mhm.
transition, I think. And I just knew that it was something I loved, and I always wanted to be in control of my own life and have a career that allowed me to have control. And
Mhm.
they kind of blended together perfectly to result in our careers, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, no, absolutely. And the reason I asked that question is a lot because what happens is most time as dancers, we start off taking classes and then we gain more of an interest. That interest slowly turns into a passion. Then that passion can slowly change into a career because we understand there are people that just love the social dance. And then there are those that love the stage. So I would like to know, do you remember your first performance? And was this a Luis and Jess couple routine, or were you guys part of a dance studio?
uh, our first performance together was when we were with the company. Yeah, we
Mhm.
were. It was a student performance, and that's
Yeah,
when we performed together for the first time. But then, while we were still in that company,
yeah,
there was an annual contest, salsa contest in Atlanta,
yeah.
and that's when we entered the contest and we did our own choreography. In 2000, so it was the same year, 2015. Yeah, it's probably 2014, 2015, one
I
of
don't
those.
know if I remember like our first time, but I do remember one specific time. we did a salsa routine that we had choreographed. It was our very first one. I can't watch it.
Yeah, she can't watch it. I do. I go
I
back
can't
on
watch any
face
of like our
on.
very first things, first routines. But and then we had a bachata too, and they were both for like local contests. And then we had the promoter of ABF say, "Hey, you guys should perform for, I see that you guys are working hard and trying to, just like start your own thing. So you should perform." So we performed both, I think.
Mhm.
I think we performed both at ABF, and I remember that because I remember being backstage thinking like how we were like on the start of something. Like we weren't paid for it. It was like he just wanted to
Mhm.
give us the opportunity to expose ourselves because we had like never performed really before, or
Yeah.
maybe like a couple times at contests. But I remember thinking like I can't believe like he asked us to do this, and he gave us this opportunity. Okay, see ya. And yeah, I just felt really grateful and excited about the future. We were back in the
Mm.
green room. I know the hair's everywhere.
No, and that's amazing to hear because understanding that for many dancers, either you have a passion that's grown over the years, or there are inspirations, just like Uriel that you said, Luis, about there are certain moments and maybe people that just inspire you. And for me, I would say my first introduction to you was in Florida that I met you guys. And honestly, you guys, and I'm not going to lie, were one of my favorite performances of that night. This was that Salsa Heat,
Don't
that
give me
dance.
that.
So,
that,
and mind you, I actually
that was our
filmed.
first. That was sorry. No, I was just gonna say that was our first on two choreography.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's how we got on two. We were like, in order for us to like really get into it, like we're taking classes and all that. But I was like, we need to get on.
Ray is here. Ray was there
Yes,
that night, and he
Yeah,
yes,
participated
Ray was
yeah.
definitely there.
also, and
Yeah.
he performed. Diamond, I can't believe you said that because I was just thinking about that show right before you mentioned it, and I was so nervous for that show because we were back, like we were so new to
Yeah.
dancing. I felt like we were there for when we used to have the Alma Latina franchise a long time ago, and
Yeah.
we were there for that, and we were backstage with like Gabby and Martine and
Santo
yeah,
Rico, like
and I was like, oh my god, she's like so perfect. Look at her foot, like it's just like, and I was so nervous to perform in front of
yeah,
them.
Jonathan Agape was
Yeah,
there. Yeah, like I remember that day too. To me, that was like my first, like the first, because at least for me, like I watch a lot of YouTube videos, right? So I see a lot of the venues, like for instance, that venue. I don't remember the name of it, but you see a lot of performances at that place,
Yeah.
right? Like you
Also,
have,
yeah.
in yeah, like in LA, you have La Granada, you have
Mhm.
Stevens, right? In New York, you have Las Chicas Locas or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So you see a lot of venues like that, and to me, it's always been like, oh, like one day I want to perform there. One day I want to perform here. So when we were there that night, it was like, oh my god, I can't believe we're about to perform here, and we're
Yep.
like, next to like all these like big names that we're just like here, and like it was yeah. To me, it was like a huge moment.
yeah.
Yeah.
Man. And
And
again,
you
like
said
for
you
me,
recorded it?
yeah, we actually have it. It's online because I remember I was filming for that event. So I remember, and don't get me wrong, I saw that performance and you guys did good. I knew you were nervous because I talked to you backstage, but at the same
So
result,
nervous.
I think you guys definitely did the job because we understand there are so many couples and routines and performances, and we know at socials you can have 4 or 5, maybe 10 performances, but there's always those very few that you can see artists like yourself developing. And what I mean is that I think after that show, for me, I really saw the trajectory of you guys because then you were doing your works in Atlanta, but I remember we talked and you said your vision was bigger than that. You wanted to travel. We would go to Dallas Bachata Festival, and then you ended up all the way in LA. And I mean, as they call it, the city of dreams. And for me, I would love to know is what was it like, kind of that transition going from the Atlanta scene now to California?
Oh wow. I'm again not crying because my eyes are
Yeah.
watering so bad.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
So I will answer that. I'll start with that, and I'll actually start answering that by also answering your last question because they kind of tie in. Because when we first started dancing, I don't know if this is very common with dancers, but we knew from the beginning that we wanted to be professional dancers. So that was always in our head, like from the very, very beginning.
I actually asked her when we started talking, like before,
Yeah.
I think we started talking like dating. And one of the first questions I asked her was like, hey, well, it was more of a statement and a question. I said, hey, I want to do this for a living. Like, do you see yourself doing this? And in my head, it was like, because if you don't want to do this, then it's probably not going to work out. But she said yes. So she wanted to do it. I was like, okay, good. Then let's try this. Back to you, Jess.
So with that in mind, we always were kind of planning out the next step, even if like our dancing wasn't there yet. Like, because clearly when we first started, our dancing was not there to be professional dancers, but that was our goal. So we were always working towards, in our training and everything, towards those goals. And then one, like you said, the big move was to California. I think it was, I don't remember the year, but the year before we moved, maybe 2017. Yeah, no, 2018, I went to Mexico and I trained with, sorry, there's just cat hair everywhere, guys. That's why we keep swatting it away.
I just don't want it to get in my, that's about it.
I trained and competed with Alma Latina in Mexicali with the Pro-Am team, or I think it was the amateur team at that time.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing experience. I mean, I learned so much about how to train, like your body, how work ethic. I mean, Luis Mujica, who directs that team, is no joke. I'm sure you guys have seen that Tu Veneno routine that goes all like the blue costumes and they kill it everywhere they go. I did that routine with them, their first competition. And, he is just no joke. So we really learned a lot. And I came back and I pretty much told him, like, once I've seen the level you can train at and the level you can push yourself to, like, we can't go back to, and, we were already
Not
training at that point a lot, but we can't go back to just taking privates and then working on them in our spare time. Like, we really got to make a move. And Luis is always kind of the visionary, I think. He has more foresight when it comes to our careers, and he sometimes kind of has to drag me to get to the conclusion where I'll agree to do it. He kind of makes the big scary decisions and then convinces me later. But I think, I don't remember exactly, but I think when you said let's move to California, I think at first I was like, no way, like I'm not moving. Didn't I say no?
Yeah, she was like, no.
Because all my family is in Georgia. My stepson, his son is in Georgia. I have a group of girlfriends who've been friends for like 20 years and they're like, part of my world, and I was leaving all of that. But he convinced me, like he so often does with stuff like that. And then we kind of planned for that move. You asked about the transition. We planned for that move for
a year.
A full year. We moved out of, when you asked about the transition, I just think about like all the sacrifice. There's like incredible amounts of sacrifice that people might not see. But we ended up moving out of our apartment that I had lived in for 10 years, longer than I've lived anywhere in my life. We moved in with his parents for, I think, maybe 6 months, so that we would have to sign another lease. 6 months.
We moved out on Christmas Day.
We moved out on Christmas Day, so we didn't get to decorate anything that year, and just all those things that like you're sacrificing, like making memories, decorating and things that are really important to a family, I feel like. But so we did all that, and then we finally ended up moving. I think it was in April.
Yeah, we left Atlanta in April.
And I'll tell you, like the night before we moved, like we're putting, packing up all of our stuff, putting it by the door, boxes and boxes of stuff. We had a full car, and I just couldn't believe still, like the next day that we were getting in the car and leaving all of our family, everyone we knew, and just driving out. And we didn't even really have a place to stay.
Yeah, we didn't have a place. When we left Atlanta, we didn't know where we were going to go to. We just knew that we're moving to California. We had an apartment, but it wasn't going to be available until the first week of May, and we had to be here for a Congress, JK, in mid-April. So that's why we ended up moving, during that time. But yeah, we left Atlanta not knowing
So,
where we were going to
Lord,
sleep
that was certainly part of the process, wasn't it? The first night that we were on the road, our car broke down
in
in
Dallas.
Dallas,
At
in a
yeah,
sketchy area, in no street lights. Like it was so, whew.
yeah,
But one might say, God or the universe or whatever always finds a way to provide for you. And I believe that
Yeah.
there's some force out there that's always working with people who are trying really hard. And
Hmm.
we ended up, we had Luis
Loredo.
Loredo from Dallas.
Yeah.
He
Yes.
came
Yeah.
and got us. We stayed at his house.
Yeah.
We got tacos while they worked on our car, and it all worked out.
Yeah.
But then when we got to California, we had nowhere to go for 3 weeks. So we were just like calling up people we knew.
So even on the way,
Even on the way, we were trying not to spend money on hotel because we didn't even have a ton of money to move out here. So and we
Mm.
had our cat with us the whole time. So
Oh,
people were just letting us crash on their couch with a cat. And then for 3 weeks, we just kind of drove around between California,
Arizona,
Arizona. We just stayed with
San
different people
Diego,
until we could get into our apartment. So it was a
wow.
hell of a process, Diamond, if I'm being
Oh my.
honest.
yeah. So
No,
yeah, it is a big, it was a process, but I think that it would not have been possible without the help of
Oh, those
people.
people. We
Like,
got so many
I
people.
mean, you cannot, some stuff like this cannot happen without friends, without people like Ray. Ray has been. I remember when we started the Alma franchise, Ray was the first person. I think I asked a question. There was a Facebook group, and
Oh,
I
hell
don't know.
there.
There was a Facebook group, and I asked a question
Mhm.
about something about management, and then he
Yeah.
sent me a message, and he was like, "Hey, like blah blah blah," blah. And then that's when Ray and I connected. Um,
Mm.
and then on the way in, like she said, Luis Loredo, which we had met in congresses and whatnot. He said, "Hey, yeah, you guys can stay, for one night." And then someone in Atlanta reached out to someone in New Mexico to see if we could teach
Oh,
there
yeah.
for a night, like teach two classes in exchange of us staying at her place for that night. So
Mm.
we did that in New Mexico, and then when we got to Atlanta, California, we knew a couple of people, and we reached out like, "Hey, do you know of anyone? Do you know of anyone?" But surprisingly, a girl who used to live in Atlanta, who now lives here, she was the one who let us stay at her place for the first time. Like when the night that we got here, and then again since then it's been,
For like a week.
yeah, for like a
It
week,
was so nice.
and again our friend in Phoenix, Angie, she's been a big part of the process,
A
and
lot of help
yeah,
along the way, is what
yeah,
we'll say.
it's
No,
yeah.
man. And
So
listening
thank you
to
all of you. If you guys are watching, thank you.
absolutely, and I'm glad that both of you were able to speak about this as honest as you wanted, because we also understand that this journey for people like yourselves that see something on the horizon, for say, you make those sacrifices to get to the end result, and realizing the journey, the transition was not easy. I mean, being a dancer is one thing, but literally going from Atlanta to California and making your way there and seeing where you are now, I mean, that is truly amazing, because I mean, dancers come and go, but to see both of your perseverance and determination to get to where you want, that truly is inspiring. And, and for me, being able to know you for so many years, different events, I've always wanted to ask these questions to a lot of the people that I know, the guests and the artists, is what are some of your most memorable performances?
Memorable. You go first, babe, because I'm gonna think about it. I'm still watering over here. I'll let you know if I start crying. I will let you know that these are tears, but they are
Mhm.
not tears yet.
Well, for me, like I mentioned earlier, like performing at certain events, right? To
Mhm.
me, it's been a big one. So when we met in Orlando, that was a memorable one for me. When I performed in at Steven's Steakhouse for the first time, that was memorable for
Mm.
me. Or at Granada, When I competed at last year, that was memorable for me. And then you have congresses, but
Mhm.
I feel like for me it's more about the place. But I think those three have been. Uh,
I have my answer.
mhm.
Oh, I have
Oh,
my
and of course competition. It's the
Mhm.
big one, like being in the final. That for me, that was
yeah.
yeah.
For me, I would say my most memorable performance, or at least like what that performance meant to me, was
Yeah.
actually the very last time we performed before the world went crazy, which was Omambo's, was it its seventh year anniversary. It was they hosted it back in March of
Mm.
this year. Um, and to perform, they asked us to perform um, there. And the year before, I think their 6 year anniversary was the very first event I think we went to in California, was their anniversary, right?
The local event,
Yeah, it
yeah.
was like we went to their anniversary, and we'd always seen Stevens on YouTube, all the
Yeah.
competitions that they have there and all the great performances, and even more than that, there's one specific video of Omar and one of his older partners, Nina, who I think, is she from New York? I'm not sure. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, Nina. And I would always reference that video over and over again to work on my facial expressions because I loved
Mm.
the way that she projected herself. And that's something that people have told me is one of my strong suits. So
Mhm.
after like studying that video and studying it, and watching him and her perform, and then being there to celebrate his company anniversary in the same place that he had performed, and that video I was watching over and over again just felt like so amazing. I mean, to have Omambo, to have Omar and Amelia ask us to perform at their anniversary was just like such an honor for me. We respect them so much, and we were part of their dance company for a while as well. At the time we were.
Mhm.
So that I think that one just made me like to have kind of that support from someone you have respected for so long was like
Yeah.
really big for me.
Man, that's
Was that your
awesome.
last show?
So, I mean,
That was our last show.
the
Not
last show
ever,
was
but
the
For the
last show
year,
in
for the
March,
year.
that you guys had, and we'll definitely get into kind of the present and how this past few months has just been crazy. But before we get into that, for me now, understanding, because I remember we had talked when we'd seen each other at events about you going to LA, and I remember having those conversations, you telling me like, we're going there with a purpose. We're going there to teach. We're going there to learn, to train, become more complete dancers. And I really respected it. And then to also see it really kind of real time of you guys made the trip and finally found a place and were able to do your training. So for me, I would love to know is what were those initial experiences like of kind of you had gotten your feet in the ground, you're in LA, you have your place. How was it initially trying to kind of teach again? Or, coming from Atlanta, you're already known really, but even in LA, you're becoming more known. Was it kind of an easier transition or were there kind of some bumps along?
it, Diamond, I'll tell you, all of our like the hardships are like the sacrifice we talked about.
Yeah.
Of course, financial hardships, but everything else has been so easy. I feel
Mm.
like we put in a lot of work. That's the hard
I think
part.
it's the result of the hard work
I
that
think
you've been
so.
putting in the
Yeah,
past,
I think that
five,
people,
4 years.
I think people want to help people that they can tell are hard workers, and I think people want to help people who are they can tell are genuinely good people.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people who aren't, in the world and in the scene. There are a lot of arrogant assholes, like if we're being honest.
Mhm.
Like there just are. Sorry.
No, wait, Louis, you didn't know you can actually curse on here. You're fine. This isn't PG-13. I mean, it's it's fine.
Okay, 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 okay.
So it went really smoothly. We like Louise mentioned, we were able to stay with this girl from Atlanta right off the bat. I mean, everything just lined up for us. We were hanging out with her by the pool one day, just chilling because we had nothing to do yet. We didn't have an
Yeah.
apartment, we didn't have a job. So we were just cooking out, and she was like, "Hey, I'm gonna have my friend Roxanne over." So she invited her over. We got to know her. We hit it off, and then she mentioned us, "Hey, if you guys need any help finding some studios to work at, let us know." she got us a job just so easily at Atomic Ballroom that we still teach at now, sometimes virtually, and you know how restrictions are crazy right now, but that's
Yeah.
still one of our home studios that we teach at. Um, Mike Zuniga messaged, we knew Mike previously, or Luis knew
Mhm.
Mike better than I did. They'd done like a show together. Um, but Mike Zuniga called us and asked if we would do a guest instructor position, a guest instructor class
For
Yeah.
bachata.
for bachata.
Mhm.
And then afterward, it was so funny. Afterward, he was like, and actually, this still happened to us, and it still makes me nervous. Mike was like, "Hey guys, can I talk to you outside?" And I was like, "What did we do wrong?"
Yeah.
And even now, when because Mike just likes to sit down and like have real conversations with people about stuff, So
Yeah.
even when he does that now, I'm like, "What did we do wrong?"
Like, hey, can I
But
talk to you in my office?
he asked us if we would be one of his instructors like every week. And
Mm.
that again was just an incredible thing for us because we have watched Mike from afar, even
Yeah.
before we met him and became friends with him, and we respected him as a person, as an artist, his
Oh, and
work.
I was a fan
Oh,
of
he was
Mike.
a
Like
big
I would
fan.
watch Mike's videos all the time. Remember, watching his first video, and I was like, "Who's this guy?" And then I looked him up on Facebook, and then I was like, "Oh, let me watch his YouTube videos." And it was like
Yeah.
Mike all the time.
So we just got like all these opportunities. I mean, I would say handed to us, but they were handed to us because people believed in us, not because we
Yeah.
were uh, undeserving, I guess.
Yeah, but also the I think that because when we got here, they had the La Granada competition, the social
Yeah.
dance competition, and I won that year.
I saw.
So it was like within a month of us being here, and I won it, and I think that also opened a lot of doors because
Yeah.
I
No, it was literally the night before we moved into our apartment, and Jay
Wow.
Gonzalez was letting us stay at his place.
yeah
Our cat threw up in his bathroom. I feel so bad. But he let us stay in his place, and he let us in and everything. And we're like, okay, cool. Can we use your bathroom? We got to get ready and go compete
Yeah.
in this thing. And it was like
just for the qualifiers.
it was the
Yeah,
qualifiers.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
But again, an example of like Luis was like, hey, we're brand new in this city of amazing artists and professionals and competitors. Let's compete.
And she was like,
And I was
"What?"
like, no, you're crazy.
I was like, "No, let's do it." I was like, "What's the worst thing's gonna happen? You just don't win. That's it." So we went and we made it to the final, and then the big one, the finals. You're put with couples randomly. So
Yeah.
we were not a couple, you know. And again, I ended up winning, and I think that opened a lot of doors
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
as soon as when that happened, like we started getting messages from like promoters, like from here, like, hey, like, congrats on your win. Did you guys just move here, or are you guys just visiting? And like, would you like to teach on my social? Can we have you as a guest instructor at our studio? I remember this was like a couple of weeks before. No, when we went to Las Vegas Congress. It was our first time
Mhm.
going. Huge Congress. And I remember being in the bachata room, and someone, like, this group of girls came up to me. They were like, "Hey, are you the guy that won at the La Granada?" And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh my god," like, so to me that was like so cool because
Oh
like people
God.
recognizing me from a competition, and it's like us coming from a small city,
Yeah.
in terms of the scene, you know, moving to a big city where you respect every artist and you look up to them, and then when you compete at that level and then you win, it's kind of like, it's nice, it's a nice reward.
So by him winning, just so we're all
Yeah.
clear, I did not win.
God.
Oh yeah, she didn't play.
So we didn't want to be partners because
She didn't want to. I was okay with
no,
it,
I
but
didn't
she
want to
did
be
not
partners
want to
because
be
we
partner.
needed that money. And if we had us and two different couples, it was more likelihood we were going to get some money, so
Exactly.
True.
we could eat.
So, see,
We ate that
Luis.
week. We ate that week. We
I
ate
mean, you
that
definitely
week.
ate that week, but I mean, I think you got to give it up to Jess because she understood. She was looking ahead. She was looking ahead of
There, right.
And I said, you're the one with all the foresight. Look
Oh,
at me over here.
I
Look at that.
know.
And to be honest, what you said earlier made so much sense. And I definitely understand when you're talking about all of the hard work that you've laid, all of the bricks that you're laying for your foundation. It all comes to that point that, again, you're going to reap the rewards you sow. If you give good energy, you're going to get it back. If you help people, they're going to help you. But like you said, if people believe in you, that's a big difference because, like you said, coming from Atlanta, coming to California with open arms rather than closed doors. And then also, I still remember, especially through Facebook, seeing that journey of when you're going to Cali, seeing you doing that competition and win it, coming and knowing coming from Atlanta, that was going to be special because they were always assuming a person from their place would win. So, you, like you said, kind of
Oh
the
yeah,
preparation the night before you moved in. I mean, to win a competition like that. I mean, but at the same time, I got to give it up to Jess because, for her
of
foresight.
course.
So, right. So,
Oh
Thank
yes.
you. Thank you.
a question I definitely have, understanding your story really from the beginning until now, and seeing that both of you have the experience of one being students, being teachers, being performers, but also being competitors. That right there is very key because we understand in our dancing, whether it's salsa, bachata, there are those that just love to go to a congress, perform an end of the night, and have fun. But then there are also dancers that love the thrill of competition. So being people that I know and artists, performers that love to compete or have that experience of competing, what can you really tell us about the biggest difference between being at a competition and maybe being a headliner at a congress? Is it kind of the same feeling or there are different emotions attached to it?
There's definitely more pressure in competition because when you compete, you're following. You have to stay within the lines, right? Like you have to follow certain rules that
Oh,
like for instance, your song cannot be longer than a minute and 30 seconds because you will get penalized.
okay.
Where in a show, I feel like it's more, at least you still get nervous, or me, I get nervous, but I don't feel as pressure because I know that people are looking at me and it's like, well, if you don't like the show, it's okay. But if a
Yeah.
judge doesn't like the show, then that's not okay. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference is the pressure, um, because you're literally getting on the floor to be judged by everyone in the room. I mean, not
Mhm.
just judges, because you have competitors that are from all over the world sitting there all day long just watching shows and and critiquing them, or watching competition, sorry, and critiquing them. So yeah, the pressure is high. Um, I would say just in general, I think there's a level of training and discipline that um, I want to be careful in how I say this because I think that being disciplined with your training
Yeah.
is very important for shows. I think a lot of people overlook that. They think it's just about doing a 6 month routine and look what I have to show you. I mean that is part of
Yeah.
what it is. Showcasing is part of it. Showcasing your hard work, your ability, but you have to train to get on stage because um,
You
you
have to
want to
earn
give
it.
you want to give someone the best. You don't want to just um, do a show just to do it. You really want to give someone the best that you have to offer. So I do think it's important in shows, but even more so in competition, clearly because you're being judged so harshly, and there's a point system. You have to make sure you're hitting all the right points. But
Mhm.
the discipline it takes to keep that training is, I think, the hardest thing. Um, and yeah, I would say the discipline
Yeah, definitely. Because you
and
want,
making sure you're always pushing yourself,
yeah, because
like to do what you couldn't do
the year
earlier.
before,
Yeah.
yeah, like you want to come back the next year and get a better points, be
Mhm.
on a higher bracket, you know. For me, growing up, I used to play soccer, so I like the points system, like I like, okay, if we get this many, then, like adding to me, like, I think that's one of the reasons why I love competition in the dancing because, the qualifiers and then the semifinals, and then you're waiting, and then like, okay, now we're in
Yeah.
the finals, and then like the excitement. Of course, winning matters, but just knowing the fact that you got to a final, or knowing that you're about to get on stage for a final or a semifinal, it's huge.
But you know
Yeah.
what? I'll tell you, I think back on this moment all the time, and it makes me nervous. Like I'm probably gonna start sweating. I think I already started sweating. I remember that right before we went on stage at the World Salsa Summit for the finals.
Mm.
Oh my God, I'm getting so nervous. We were back there, and I remember starting to think like we're literally the next ones to go, and
Yeah.
you're nervous too. I can tell.
Oh yeah.
And I remember thinking like I started to have the thought like there's no turning back. You're about to be on that stage.
Yeah.
And then I remember thinking, don't think about that. Like in 1 second, I was just like refocus because you're starting to psych yourself out. And like I don't know about anyone else, but my brain, I can have like a conversation with myself in a split second. And in that split second, I went to a place that was gonna psych me out, and then I pulled myself out of it. But I remember like just being like, there's no turning back. Like we're right here, and I was so hella nervous. But it turned out okay. We placed what fifth
Yeah.
in the final, so that's not bad for our first pro competition. So
Yeah.
at World Salsa Summit, so I'm good with it. But yeah, the pressure and the training are what sets it apart the most in my
The
eyes.
difference, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, um, competing also like gives you a goal, like,
Mm.
that by this day, your choreography, or you physically, it has to be on point. You have to be
Yeah.
as sharp as possible. Whereas if it's just a show, it's like, okay, well, I know that I have a congress, I know that I have a weekender, I know that I have a social, whatever.
Mm.
It's like, sure, but yeah, definitely, I think competition gives you a goal, like gives you a deadline. Sorry, for you to be ready as possible. But you'll
So,
never be
question.
ready. Just
So, question from that then is, say, for instance, you have a dancer who's on a team. Would you recommend them trying out to do competitions? Would that kind of be like a nice little challenge for them, or what kind of the advice for someone trying to go or thinking about going into competitions in the future?
for at least for us, or from what I can remember, the advice that we were given by Anya, it was after we did a local competition in Atlanta. She was one of the judges. And then after the competition, we were talking to her, and she told us, if you want to get to the next level, you need to get in a competition.
Mm.
And we took that very serious, and we're like, okay, let's, we want to take it to the next level, so let's try competition. And competition is not for everyone, right? There's a lot of
I
people
was
out
just
there.
about to say
Yeah,
that.
there are people who they don't need competition to become better, right? You can become
Yeah.
a better dancer from your point of view, right?
You can meet your specific goals
Right,
Yes.
without competing, because
without
not
competing,
everyone's
right,
goals are to be a professional or to be a competitive dancer.
right,
But I would take it even further and say that there are some people who there have been students of ours who said I want to compete, and I'm like, oh, they would be great, like not like, oh, they're gonna win, but I know they'll be great because I know they know what it takes to compete, and they're hard workers, and they're gonna do what they need to do. But then there are
Mhm.
other people who've told me, and I would just be like, oh, that's nice, like uh, you just don't believe it because
Yeah.
it's not, it's your life. If you compete, that is your life for
Mhm.
however long you're training before that competition, like a year. It is not like a show, and that's another thing is it's when you do a show, everyone when you get off that stage, everyone's gonna tell you you did a great job,
Mm.
even if you didn't. And I know if we have a bad show, I know when someone
Yeah.
is like, "Oh, you did great," and I'm like, "Bitch, just tell me that it wasn't our best show. Like, don't lie to me." I
Oh, I
know, like
love you.
you can tell that difference, right? But when you compete, nobody is gonna tell you you did a great job if you didn't. No one, even your
Mm.
friends, because they're there for the same reason as you. They're gonna tell you, I saw, your foot came off the ground in this trick. I saw y'all
Yeah.
misconnected here. You should really improve your body movement in this section. You need, they will tell you exactly what you did wrong. And some people just can't handle that. And if you can't handle that, you can't compete because you got to have thick skin, you know,
Yes.
Yeah.
real thick skin,
Oh
real,
Oh my
real thick.
Honestly, Jess, I love that you said that because that notion of when, and many artists know it, even people listening now have been there, have been the person who said it, or have been the performer and heard it. Of you get off stage, you know you messed up, something was wrong, and you look that person in the face, and they give you that big smile, like, "Oh my God, he did amazing!" And you're looking at them, and you know you didn't do it, you know it, but sometimes
Yeah.
also appreciate the honesty. I think most of all, because again, like you said, when you're in a competition and other competitors, whether they're your friends or not, the critiques they're giving you are valid because they're watching the performance rather than have an emotional response to something that means nothing towards what you're doing. Having the artist, even though you're friends, they can actually be honest with you and say, hey, make these adjustments, which will only make you better. And big shout out to Andrea Sedman. I love her as well. And now this helps me transition before we get into the present day of a segment that I love to do called the randoms, which is a 10-question segment that allows myself and the audience to get to know you a little better. So definitely let me know when both of you are ready.
Oh, is this like rapid fire situation? I am
Yeah,
ready.
it's gonna be
Do we both have
All
to
right,
answer, or does she
yeah,
go and then I go? Like,
Or is it a
whatever,
random
whatever.
situation?
What do you like? All right, let's
yeah,
see who.
whoever buzzing first.
All right, favorite food.
Taco.
Tacos. What boys?
Pizza.
Okay. Favorite workout song.
Oh my
Mm,
god. Okay, so it's not rapid fire. That was favorite. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't have a song, but I go through like phases.
you go through moods.
I went through a phase where I listened to a lot of Kendrick Lamar when I would work out. I went through a phase where I
Mm,
listened to just like a lot of Bad Bunny.
okay.
Right now, I do more like stretches than anything else, so that already has music in it. What
Yeah.
about you?
I like listening to more of a motivational, like speech, like workout motivational, like Greg Plitt.
Okay.
It's like my all-time favorite. Yeah. So I listen to him when I'm working out.
All right. Nice. Well, this is for the future when things get back to normal. What is a dream vacation destination that you would love to go to?
For
For the
me,
future. It's just probably way out there somewhere, but dream vacation. Well, we had talked about going to the Dominican Republic so we could train, but I don't think that counts.
that's
So
not a
let's not
vacation.
count that. I would say I wanted to go to Greece for a really long time. So
Yeah.
I would say Greece
Santorini
For
or
me
and
too.
Massimo.
Italy.
Yeah. Italy and Greece.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
see,
I
then
like
we would train in Italy. I want to go somewhere where no one dances. I want to
That's
train.
impossible.
I know.
Yeah.
But Greece and Italy, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. This one now for both of you. This is going to definitely get interesting. What is a really big
Uh-oh.
turn off for both of you when social dancing with someone?
Turn
Oh, Jack.
off.
Well, I love
Turn
the
off.
turn.
I think it's that off.
Yes, a biggest turn off. I'm talking about,
Well, that's a weird
what's
question.
a don't for a person that wants
Okay.
to social
Oh,
dance with you?
I got the answer. Oh, I got the answer. And this happens all the time. I hope you guys are listening. I hope that certain guys are listening out there. My biggest pet peeve is dancing with professional artists and they look like they would like to be anywhere else in the world other than dancing
Oh,
with you and they don't look at you and they don't smile. I hate that. Like, who
mm,
are you? Who are
thank you.
you? Go to Kroger. No one knows who you are. Oh, I hate that.
Aroused.
Or Ralph's, whatever. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
For me, I think yeah, for me, I think it would be the same one, or when girls backlead. Like backleading, it's backleading. No, I'll probably say backleading. Like if I'm
Okay.
dancing with someone, yeah, the backleading, it's mine.
All right. All right. Next one here is also another dance one. Is if you can close your eyes right now, you're at a Congress, it's a Saturday night or a big night. Name one group or one performance you could see.
One?
If I could see one,
Just one artist or one
oh,
company. You
Rodrigo
could say,
Cortázar, Rodrigo Cortázar and Bercy.
That's a good one. I won't take the same one. Who do I pick? Oh my god. I really enjoy I really enjoy Cadence Dance Company from Canada.
Hmm,
They're
yes,
they're like they do Latin dance. They will do salsa and bachata, but they do a lot of modern and they do a lot of
fusion.
dance hall and hip hop, and they are outstanding.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Big shout out to Clifton from Cadence Dance Company. This one here is going to be interesting. What would be your spirit animal?
Cat,
Dog.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, why
oh,
not?
I don't know. I'm a cat. You might be turning into a cat.
oh. I mean, you got
No,
the
I think I'm a
cat
dog.
right there near you, probably. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
all right. Next question would be, what would be your superpower?
I know this. I've thought about it so much. Mine would be teleportation because you
Okay.
would never need to update your passport. You wouldn't need money to travel. You'd never be late anywhere. And you can go anywhere you want to go. And it's not like you don't like a conversation. You just get right out of there. Just teleport away. So that's
I see that
mine.
Lewis
Yeah,
teleported.
just like that. I think mine too. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because then it would be no good if I could teleport and you couldn't
Yeah.
teleport.
Yeah.
So
All right. I like that. All right. Next one, and this definitely gets a lot of people. Can you name three people that are most influential to you at this point in your life?
In
at
general,
this
In
point
general,
in
it can
my
be
life,
dance related
okay.
or just in life.
oh my God,
You said three?
Yeah.
three people.
I think for me, it would be my parents.
Yes, you can
Um,
group
Just
them
like
up.
right
That's
now.
fine.
Okay.
mhm. Yeah, definitely my parents. If I had to name someone in the dance scene, I mean, someone who inspires me a lot, and I don't know him personally. I've met him, we met him over a weekend at a weekender. It'd have to be Rodrigo Cortázar.
Mm,
And just the way he teaches, the way he, I mean, I remember we saw them perform last year in San
yeah.
Francisco for a weekender, and like when we were running, we didn't even have tech, but they decided to do one, and I stood there and I was just watching them, and then when we watched their shows, as the show was going on, I told myself I can die right now and I'll be fine.
Wow.
Like the energy that I
I'm glad you
felt.
didn't though.
I know. I'm glad I didn't die. But the energy that because we performed and then there was another show and then they
Yeah.
went, so we had time to go and sit and watch them perform. But I remember just watching them and just thinking that like if I died right now, like I'm good. Like that's how much like I don't know. Their energy is just amazing. So it made me really sad
Okay.
that they're not dancing together. But
Mhm.
But
yeah,
you'll be okay.
yeah, I'll be fine.
Okay, good.
Wait, you have one more.
I
You have
really
your
don't
parents.
know. I thought you were gonna say like in your whole life.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
because again, with people with
you
with
get
their
one more.
lives, Dan, yeah, you do get one
Oh,
more.
um, I would have to say my brother. He's younger than
Okay.
me, but
Okay.
I think I've learned a lot from him. He's younger, but he has two daughters, and
Yeah.
just seeing him hustle and working for his family. No, it's yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely that's a good one. And what's so cute is I think Bercha would say the same thing about you. That's so cute.
Mm,
Um, for mine, I don't even know. That's really hard. I know
yeah.
for sure one person who this year has really influenced me has been Adam Borland of the Orlando Ballet. There's a Facebook group for anyone listening. If you are interested, it's free. It's called Dance Accepts Everyone, and he runs this group and
Mm,
has tens of thousands of people in it from all over the world. And he does free ballet classes at every level. And I've been taking his classes since March, I think. And not just from a flexibility standpoint, because he's really helped me. Like, I've gotten a lot stronger and a lot more
Yeah.
flexible based on his classes. But though I learned a lot from him in terms of like how to relate to your students via Zoom, and his is through Facebook, but same
Hmm.
thing. How to relate to students who are not there physically with you, and how to inspire people and bring people joy, or to try to bring people joy at a time that's so difficult. So I would definitely say him. He's really helped me. I don't even know the guy. Who else though? I really don't know. I don't want to just name people to name them, but I feel really confident with Adam
Yeah.
Portland, so I'm going to say that.
He
Okay.
counts
You got
as
one.
3.
He counts as 3. He's got a lot of
Okay.
personality.
All
Yeah,
right.
he really
Yeah.
does.
All right. Perfect then. So the second before last is, what is a special talent that maybe a lot of people wouldn't know?
I know mine. This is my superpower diamond, and that is
Mm.
organization. That's it.
I have to
I'm the
snap my
most organized person in the
She
world.
really is. I'm really we fight about this a lot because
Yeah.
I love when things are like in place in order, but
Yeah.
I'm what do you call me? I'm the hardest.
Hardest working lazy person I've ever met,
Yes, I'm
Wow.
so lazy.
or the laziest hardworking
The
person. Either
laziest,
one.
yeah, that. Because I like to work. Like if I'm working, like I'm really all into it. But I'm just like and it could be little things. So it's good that she's always like, hey, like fix this or
Yeah,
like
I like for
can this be over here? And I'm like,
I like for our home to look like a model home, like no
like
one
no
lives
Yeah.
one
there,
lives here.
but we do live
Yeah.
here.
And for me, a special talent, probably soccer. I was really good at soccer. I
I
was
mean,
supposed to be pro when I was a kid, but
I'll tell you this, Lewis. I think I might have to challenge you on that when I see you because I play soccer as well. Uh, that's a challenge right there. If you got FIFA, I'll get
yeah,
FIFA.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's do it. I need to. You know what? I
You
was
should get
thinking I need to get a PlayStation, so that I can play. Really, growing up, I played Super Nintendo, so I played
Yeah.
Mario Bros. And Donkey Kong and all that. But I never really got into like Call of Duty and all that. But I always played FIFA. Like if I go to someone's house and they're playing FIFA, I'm like, okay, I'm in. So I feel like I need to get a PlayStation just so that I can play FIFA.
Okay. I like that. All right. Last one is, and this one is a lot of people love this one, is if you were on an island right now, what are 3 things that you would have to have with you? But there is no internet
Oh,
on that island. That's the only disclaimer. There's no internet.
I got this answer. I've been thinking about it because I've heard you
Oh,
ask George
I
uh,
mean,
and Alamana, George and Tanya about it. So this is my answer. Because you can go real pragmatic or you can go either way. I'll give you both answers if you want. But I would want a tent because even if
mm,
that tent breaks, you can still use that material to fashion another house, a knife, a hunting knife, and a fire starter. Georgia
man,
girl right here.
that's a top 2 and like 3 answers I've ever heard thus far. Out of the 64 episodes, like
Did we win
what
the
about you,
game?
Lewis? Hopefully, remember, Lewis, you are on this island with Jess. So she
Oh,
already
we're
had
together?
3 things. Yeah, I'm giving you that option. So you got 6
Listen,
items.
I just
Right.
I just took care of all the survival stuff. You better bring me something cool.
I would have our cat, Little
Okay.
Miss.
I can't believe I
Um,
didn't say that.
yeah, how rude.
It's okay.
And wait, does it have to be things or can it be like people?
I mean, your cat has to eat. I mean, you got 2 other things you can bring.
It'll eat what we eat.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, so I was thinking Pope because Pope would probably be able to
Oh
like
yeah, bring our
solve.
brother-in-law.
Yeah, her
Oh, he's
brother-in-law.
coming.
Oh yeah, because he's like he's the type of guy that can build anything out
If
of
you put my
nothing.
brother-in-law and my nephews in the woods, they would just flourish out there.
Yeah.
They would just flourish. My nephew built a log cabin at like age 9 in his backyard. I mean,
Oh
like
my
a
lord!
full log cabin.
Yeah.
Wow,
So I would have Pope with us, and then Gatorade.
Oh my
Gatorade.
I
god.
don't know. I
So this
love Gatorade. Yeah, I love
perfect.
Gatorade.
All right.
That is so
Well,
annoying. There would just be half empty, there would just be half drank bottles of Gatorade all over the island. That's one of our biggest arguments is I like things organized and everywhere I go there's like Gatorade with this much and there's another bottle with
Not
Gatorade with this much
everywhere,
and they're
but
just everywhere.
he's a half empty guy. He's a half empty. But again, guys, thank you so much for doing this segment. It definitely was interesting. And now it helps me kind of go into the present day. And like we've talked about earlier with COVID, like you said, the last event you guys were at, I believe it was in March at the Omambo's 7th anniversary. And now for many people, that feels like a lifetime ago for some. But for others, we've been able to cope and maneuver and just for many people stay afloat, especially in our dance community that's been really hit hard with COVID. Many dancers affected, many families, but many again the dance scene in general really just kind of changed overnight. Um, from New York, LA, Arizona, Florida, Texas, you name it. Um, and my question really is, how was that initial startup of understanding? You guys are in California, and things can honestly just shut down, and everything kind of just changes. What were those initial feelings like during those times?
um, I think it was obviously scary, right? Because you're like, okay, what's going on? Because I'm sure a lot of people had this in their minds that this year was their year, right? Like this was our year. Like we had some like events, lined up and like things were going great, here locally, like teaching in different places, like every week. So things were looking like really good. Um, but I mean, as soon as things shut down, we immediately jumped on the online teaching. I think we started teaching on Facebook. Yeah, we did Facebook first and Instagram, and we did free classes for maybe 2 weeks or maybe just 1 week.
Mhm.
And then, as you know, we teach with at RF with Mike, and
Yep.
then he started doing online as well. So then we decided to switch our classes to Zoom and charge instead of doing it for free.
Mhm.
And it's been a roller coaster, because there were times when you had students and there were times with people, especially in, I think, what, like June, July? Yeah,
Yeah.
around June or July is when people were just done with it.
I
People,
think that's like
yeah,
across the board. A lot of people have said their classes were doing really well in March, April, and then in June they started kind of dropping
like,
off.
yeah. And you can go from there.
You done?
Yeah, I mean, from there, I mean, we just, it's, I kind of forgot the question, but I know it was,
What our thoughts were when it first happened,
oh,
or
yeah,
like how you moved into the
yeah.
situation.
We jumped into it, and then Mike has been very helpful. He bought a mixer, he bought microphones and all that for the classes that we do at RF. So then we bought some for us.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, if I can just interject for 1 second, that is one of my two. I only gave you Adam Borland of my influential
Yeah.
people. I would also say Mike because Mike is such a good businessman. I don't like that's
Mhm.
not something you see when you see someone perform, but he's so good at managing his company and managing his future. And
Mhm.
we learned a lot teaching for him via Zoom. And we saw the stuff you needed to buy, and so then we took those same tools and bought that same stuff and started doing it at our apartment for our own classes while we were also teaching for Mike as
Yeah.
well. But we did separate classes to make sure we weren't
Yeah.
conflicting with him. Um, but I I think, oh my God, I feel like it was so long ago when this first
Yeah.
started, and I feel like I can't really remember the feelings because it's almost like a
Mm.
preservation tactic that your mind is like, just don't remember your first thoughts, just don't remember how you felt because it was really scary. But I think that we just, you know what, I'll say I think it was easier
Mhm.
then because we didn't know what we knew now. At the beginning, we thought, oh, we'll be here, 2 months. So we had a plan, we'll do these classes for 2 months, and we thought, oh, we're gonna come out of this stronger. Like we're
Yeah.
gonna come out of these 2 months because that's what we thought it was, and we're gonna be more in shape. I'm gonna be more flexible. We're gonna maintain our student base online. And then after that 2 months, I think is when it really started to kick in that this is where there's no coming out of this is like nowhere in sight. This is not like an on-off situation. Like, and then it went on, and here we are, and it's still going on. So I
Mhm.
think that the initial feelings maybe weren't as dramatic or intense as they would have been had we have known that it'd be December and it's still an issue.
Yeah.
But I think mainly we just tried to remain focused and
Mhm.
positive
And stay relevant.
and to stay, yeah,
Yeah.
those were the goals. Stay focused, stay relevant, and just try to be a source, not only a source of happiness for other people or a source of release or escape for other people, but also like doing that would help ourselves kind of escape
Yeah.
from what was going on. So, and it still is happening. I'm doing a ladies Christmas bachata challenge right now, and I know like a lot of my girls are going through a lot of stuff. Some have lost their jobs, some are quarantining in another country for 2 weeks just so they can see their parents for 5 days. I mean, there's a lot
Yeah.
going on. Um, and I know that they really appreciate these classes that I'm doing, but I
Mhm.
appreciate it so much too. Like,
Yeah.
there are some days where you don't want to do anything, but then knowing you have someone who is relying on you to make that hour of their life like happier
Yeah.
makes you motivated, so we find like a lot of drive in that.
Yeah,
Wow.
definitely.
For me, I could definitely say over these past few months, I've admired the consistency. And like you said, staying relevant because we also understand there are many artists that we've probably seen for years at congresses have not been able to capitalize on the social media alternative
Right.
to doing virtual classes. They're kind of left out now because there's so many people like yourselves that really understand the marketing and realizing if people can still see your face, that is a source of relevancy. And for me, I love even myself
Mm-hmm.
being a witness. Me and my wife have taken one of your classes before, so we loved it. We definitely enjoyed it. But for me, just being able to hear both of your stories kind of from beginning until now and seeing the ever-present word that I see as consistency and constantly pushing the envelope for both of you to really become the best dancers you can become. But also realizing even through tragedy and everything we've been going through, you're still finding ways to push great content. The visuals are amazing. I mean, the classes are fun. Even the costumes you guys put on once in a while, and I definitely love it. And for me, at least, I would love to know really what do you feel is the future for the dance scene, probably the next year or two.
Mm. I think the future for the dance scene for the next couple of years is in more local events or weekenders.
Mhm,
I think just from a logistical perspective, it's easier
mhm.
to control a smaller group in terms of
Yeah,
mask wearing and sanitation and all this. Um, Also, I think that's just what's going to be in the budget for promoters. Also, I don't think that
mm,
a lot of the promoters who have been doing these big events, they might not have the funds to be doing that right off the bat. So I think that it'll be
yeah,
a gradual move towards normality, and I think it'll just be through smaller events and weekenders,
Yeah.
which we kind of prefer those anyway because you get to connect more with the
mhm.
people. And of course, now I would prefer that because I want to stay safe. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Boo.
No, yeah, no, I agree. I mean, and we're seeing it now. You have places like Florida, like Arizona, who are having weekenders, and it's working for them. I don't think that we're gonna have big events. Even if the vaccine comes out tomorrow, it's
Yeah.
still gonna take time for things to settle and get back to normal. I think that the virtual thing is gonna continue regardless, whether things open up or stay the way they are, like virtual classes, memberships and all that. I think it's gonna stay.
Oh, for sure. And I also wanted to add, I think this is really important. It's not just the promoters might not have the money, but even more importantly than that is that the students don't have, people
Yeah.
don't have money right now. People are putting Christmases on credit cards. I mean, that's just so sad. And that's,
Yeah.
I hope that promoters are going to consider this when they start creating their events for the future, that that your event is about the people that attend. It's and
Mm.
that should be the bottom line. So when creating events, it has to accommodate to the guests, to the
Yeah.
dancers, and then it has to be, it has to be affordable. So and again, this that yields a smaller event, I think. So.
Yeah, because if you have, congresses, you have to pay hotel and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But if it's a smaller event, then, maybe they have their own studios or, I don't know. We've never done an event. Well, I haven't. She kind of did. But,
But yeah, I
that's
think
a different, yeah.
smaller events and yeah, I think for the next 2 years or so,
Probably the next year.
year
Uh,
maybe.
if I had to guess, I think by 2020, what year are we in? 2021? I think that by
22.
2022, congresses are going
Yeah.
to be like back. I think 21 is still going to be like in between, but I think
Yeah.
we're going to see more weekenders like throughout the states.
Absolutely. I mean, hopefully, at least as of now, with LA and their shutdown, any other state right now can go into shutdown. And especially for our dance community, I think, again, whoever's doing weekenders, whoever's doing any type of events, making sure that the dancers and the people in the community are safe, because we don't want uh,
Yes.
more shutdowns and lockdowns to happen. But also seeing that artists like yourself
Mhm.
are still able to keep that relevancy and keeping that virtual alternative pushing. I love it. I appreciate it. I support it. And tonight definitely has been an amazing journey that I've been able to learn about both of you before dance and the things that you love and how you guys found each other through dance, and seeing now you guys have this amazing Christmas tree, this model home with the cat. And, you know, again, I've always told you from personal experience that I've admired you both. You've been able to meet my now wife, and we've been able to travel together and go out to restaurants and just really appreciate the people that both of you are, not just what you do on stage, but for the people that you are off.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Yeah, no,
Nah,
and likewise, yeah, we appreciate your friendship and everything that you're doing because we like I said earlier, we there's a lot of things that we would not be able to do without the help or support from others. And it's people like you.
absolutely. Absolutely. But at least before we go, I would love to know if both of you had any last words for myself and the audience.
You go
Um,
first.
you go first.
No, I mean just uh, be patient. Stay safe. Um, try not to be selfish. Meaning wear your mask. It's not about you. It's about the ones around you.
Yeah.
Uh, um, um,
I think what I would say, we actually just filled out our first Christmas card ever is going out 2020 to some family members. And I put at the end of our Christmas card something along the lines of, let's like look forward to 2021 and all of the challenges and joys it's going to bring. But I think that we need to remember 2020 because this country
Yeah.
specifically and the world has gone through a lot, and we have to remember those lessons that we've learned. I think that's really
Yeah.
important. If we don't do that, then the same history repeats itself over and over. Talking to you, June 2020. June was a month. But yeah, I think let's just keep moving forward with positivity, and let's just, be kind to each other and stay safe.
Mhm.
That's what I would say.
Absolutely. I mean, again, it's been an amazing night. And I love the guests that I have on, like yourself, because I feel like these talks or discussions are more kind of like therapy sessions and kind of just getting together and just like having these one-on-one moments that also people online can share with. So for me, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor having you both. And, even though this is our first interview, I would love to have you on again next year, seeing what Luis and Jess are up to, what new classes and new projects that you have on. But honestly, thank you guys tonight for such an amazing time.
No,
Oh,
thank
thank
you
you.
for having us.
Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who tuned in.
Yes.
Appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Again, thank you guys. I hope you stay safe out there in California. I hope everyone who is listening stays safe. And definitely, again, everyone, happy holidays and cheers to a new year and hopefully a better year.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
absolutely. Cheers to that.
Absolutely, guys. Have a great night. Stay safe and see you later.
All right, thank you too.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.